Japanese worldview that honors the incomplete, the cracked, and the weathered. It's the belief that things are more beautiful because they're flawed, not in spite of it. And if you've ever tried quitting drinking, failed, and then hated yourself afterwards, this philosophy could change your life. Because here's the truth. You broke your promise. You drank when you swore you wouldn't. And the voice in your head doesn't just criticize you, it crucifies you. You are pathetic. You will never change. Why do we even bother? We've been taught that perfectionism is the goal. But what if that belief is what is keeping you stuck? In today's episode, we're exploring Wabi Sabi, a Japanese philosophy that just might be the cure for your shame spiral. Not because it makes you flawless, but because it teaches you to see the cracks as gold. Hello everybody, my name is Davy. I am not an alcoholic. I refuse to be anonymous. I am someone who lives a self-led life, alcohol-free as fuck. And I spend every waking moment of that life helping other people do the same, like right now. Welcome to the 1000 Days Sober podcast. And this episode is part of our ongoing thestrivemethod series, where we give you a peek under the hood of our 6-month powerhouse workshop, the thestrivemethod. And this one, Wabi Sabi, comes from our stuck phase. I think it's week 2 when we do Wabi Sabi. Okay, it's a ancient, beautiful tool from Japan, and if you let it, it can be very transformational. Okay, so what is Wabi Sabi? Wabi Sabi is not something you put on your sushi. It is the art of imperfection. It's a Japanese worldview that honors the incomplete, the cracked, and the weathered. It's the belief that things are more beautiful because they're flawed, not in spite of it. And if you've ever tried quitting drinking, failed, and then hated yourself afterwards, this philosophy could change your life. Because here's the truth. When we rely on alcohol, we're often trying to silence the inner critic, a part of us that says that we're not good enough, that we're not present enough, that we're not patient or successful or consistent enough. And that voice doesn't come out of nowhere. It often gets activated when we feel judged or when we are judging ourselves. And I want to give you an example from my life, okay? When I became a father for the second time in my 40s, I wasn't new to the game because I had a 24-year-old son, right? I have a 24-year-old son, Jude, and I have an 8-year-old daughter, Zia, okay? Now with Jude, I did the very best I could with what I had. I was in my 20s when I had him, right? So my wisdom and everything around parenting, it just all came from my parents, right? And parenting actually doesn't get any easier just because you've done it before. Sometimes it can get heavier because now you understand the magnitude, right? Because you're more conscious. You see the patterns, the trauma, the generational hand-me-downs. It's not like being a dad is your only role as well, right? You're still a husband, you're a son, you're a friend, you have businesses to run, you've got bills to pay, bodies to take care of, you have dreams to chase of your own. And in the middle of that chaos, if your wife turns around and says something like, why don't you take your daughter out on her bike more? It can hit like a dagger. Not because it's cruel, because a part of you hears you're failing. You're not doing enough. She thinks you're a shit dad. She thinks that your daughter is not important to you. And that part that thinks this, it wants to please. It wants to be seen. It wants to be good. And when it feels unworthy, it can spiral out of control. And in the past, for me, this is where alcohol would step in. Not as celebration, not as fun, but as sedation, as silence, right? And this is why Wabi Sabi matters, because it reminds me that I don't have to be flawless to be valuable. It teaches me that cracks aren't signs of failure. It's proof that I've lived, I've tried, I've lived again, I've loved, and I've been loved, all right? Now we're going to take a short break, and during that time, I want you to consider this. What part of you are you still trying to hide from the world because you think you're broken? So what part of you are you trying to hide from the world because you think that it's broken? And what part of you is actually gold? Welcome back to the 1000 Days Sober podcast. Before the break, I asked you to reflect on the parts of yourself you hide because of shame. Here's what Wabi Sabi teaches us. You don't need to hide them. You need to honor these parts, right? And its sister art, Kintsugi, it takes this even further. In Kintsugi, when a bowl breaks, They don't throw it away. They repair it with gold. They fill the cracks, not to hide them, but to highlight them. Because in Kintsugi, the flaw is the beauty. The brokenness of the bowl is the story. The repair is the truth. And that is what we do in the Strive method. We don't try to erase our past. We help you meet it with compassion. We don't shame the relapse. We explore the part that led to it. And in doing that, you get to reclaim your voice. You get to shift from past to self. And you get to live a life where the cracks gleam with gold. Before we go to the daily vow, I'm going to leave you with this. And this is the truth. There is nobody except for the mothers of my two children that loves them more than me. And there's nobody in this world up until this point that has hurt both of them more than me. How is that possible? Right? There's somebody who could love them so much can be the biggest source of their pain and suffering. This is what I call life. I don't beat myself up about it. I don't call myself a terrible dad. I don't spend time wallowing in it. I don't let parts of my psyche go haywire and want to drink alcohol as a result of it. I don't feel shame. I don't feel a lot of guilt anymore because I've dealt with it, right? I'm a human being. I look at all the times I failed my children through the lens of Wabi Sabi and Kintsugi. I think they've made me grow into a better father. I think I'm a wonderfully, perfectly imperfect father, the best father in the world and the worst father in the world at the same time. And I'm okay with that. And because I'm okay with that, there's peace. You know what I mean? And it allows me to have conversations with my children about those mistakes that I've made in the world. And I think those mistakes that I've made with my children will actually help them to grow into even better, more complete human beings, right? And also, finally, I think the influence I have over my children may not be as great as I think it is, and I think they will grow up and they will probably be more tuned into who they're going to be as human beings by the culture and their peers and the people they hang around with. But I just got to do the best I can when I'm around them, right? You know what I mean? So for me, Wabi Sabi and Kintsugi has been really important in the world of parenting. And in those moments when my wife asks me to spend more time with my daughter, when a part of me feels that I'm being judged, it trusts self enough to step in to handle it and to be like, hey, your wife just wants you to spend more time with your daughter. And it doesn't mean that she thinks you're a shit dad. Go spend some more time with your daughter, right? So that's what it's all about. Anyway, on to today's daily vow. Today, I will not drink because I am no longer afraid of my imperfections, because I'm done filling my cracks with poison, because I am learning to fill them with gold. You were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be real. And the real you, scars, stumbles, softness and all, that is self. That is leading the way. Reflections for you as you go about your day today. What mistake do you keep reliving in your mind? What part of you is trying to protect you by holding on to that shame? And can you imagine looking at the crack and seeing gold instead? Please post your reflections in the Strive community online at LeeDavyCoaching, or you can email me at thestrivemethod.com to have a chat with me about that, strivemethod@gmail.com. If this episode resonated with you, dear Striver, please share it to somebody else so more people can find out about the liquid lie. And if you want to learn more about the Strive Method workshop and take the workshops like Wabi Sabi and Kintsugi, go to www.strivemethod.com and sign up for our stuck phase, the first of 6 modules. You'll absolutely love it. It's an amazing, life-changing process. Until today, much love and strive on. And later on, when your window of vulnerability kicks in and you start to think that you are shit and the only way to deal with that shitness is to drink alcohol, think about Wabi Sabi and give yourself and cut yourself some slack. And then maybe, just maybe, you'll get through today without having a drink. Much love and strive on.